on the left, our favorite loudmouth, Rosie O'Donnell, took on her favorite topic today, ranting against the war in Iraq.
If you were in Iraq and another country, the United States, the richest in the world, invaded your country and killed 655,000 of your citizens, what would you call us?
Are we killing their citizens, or are their people also killing their citizens?
Invading a sovereign nation and occupying a country against the UN. The vast majority of Americans no longer are falling for the trick of the bad terrorists who are out there to get us.
Do you not believe in terrorism?
I believe, Elizabeth, that 6,000 dead Americans from 9/11 and from this war is a lot less than 655,000 dead Iraqis.
Do you believe in terrorism?
I believe every human life is equal.
Do you believe in terrorism?
I believe there is state-sponsored terrorism.
Yes.
I believe there's government-sponsored terrorism by every nation in the world, including ours.
She's using phony numbers about how many Iraqis have been killed. She says terrorists are a figment of our imagination, and she says the U.S. engages in government-sponsored terrorism. Where is she getting these ideas? With me now, Brian Darling. He's the Director of Senate Relations at the Heritage Foundation. Brian, first of all, that 655,000 dead Iraqis number, I have seen that bandied about quite a bit. Do we have a final conclusion of whether that is a legitimate number or a hype number?
It's a hype number. She repeated it over and over again. It's disgusting that she uses these figures over and over again that she knows are not consensus figures. The number is far lower than that. And for Rosie O'Donnell to somehow blame the United States for all these killings is an outrage. And we're seeing suicide bombers going into the streets and killing Iraqis, and we're being blamed for this. So it's just, again, a hate America attitude. It's really disgusting, and I don't understand why this woman is still on TV when she's spouting such hate.
She says terrorists are essentially a figment of our imagination, using quotes around terrorists, and she says that the U.S., that is us, that we engage in government-sponsored terrorism. By what stretch of the imagination could those statements be accurate?
These are just left-wing talking points. It is an outrage. We are fighting throughout the globe a global war on terror because of what happened on September 11th. September 11th woke up all Americans to what these bad people can do.
In 1953, the Central Intelligence Agency, working in tandem with MI6, overthrew the democratically elected leader of Iran, Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh. Mossadegh had been educated in the West, was pro-America, and had driven communist forces out of the north of his country shortly after being elected in 1951. Mossadegh then nationalized the oil fields and denied British Petroleum a monopoly. The CIA's own history department at CIA.gov details how U.S. and British intelligence agents carried out terror attacks and then subsequently blamed them on Mossadegh. In the late 1990s, large sections of Operation Ajax were declassified. The field commander of Operation Ajax was none other than the grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt, Kermit Roosevelt. Before his death in 2000, Roosevelt went public to the media, bragging about his patriotism in carrying out terror attacks in Iran and blaming it on the government. The provocations included propaganda, demonstrations, bribery, agents of influence, and false flag operations. They bombed the home of a prominent religious leader and blamed it on Mossadegh. They attacked mosques, machine gun crowds, and then handed out thousands of handbills claiming that Mossadegh had done it. The handbills read, "Up with Mossadegh, up with communism, down with Allah." Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh was incarcerated for the duration of his life. He fared better than many of his ministers who were executed just days after the successful coup for crimes that MI6 and CIA had committed.
And for Rosie O'Donnell to somehow blame the United States for all these killings is an outrage.
Events that are not contested. The CIA then formed the dreaded Iranian Secret Police, or SAVAK, and a 25-year reign of terror and torture then commenced. The operation was seen by Western intelligence agencies as a huge success. The CIA then successfully used the exact same technique in scores of countries to overthrow elected governments and dictators alike.
She says terrorists are essentially a figment of our imagination, using quotes around terrorists, and she says that the U.S., that is us, that we engage in government-sponsored terrorism. By what stretch of the imagination could those statements be accurate?